Hi everybody, this is Adele from Eduvision and I'm making a short video today about accommodation at IEB schools, or concession as a lot of people call it. Fluffy, my dog, decided he's going to join the video today. So the IEB has set general guidelines about what they require from learners that would want accommodation from their schools. So who gets concession? It would need to be approved by the IEB by granting a learner approval for accommodation or exemptions, and this must be kept by the school. So firstly, the school management is responsible and accountable for the overall management and support of the learners who may require assessment and accommodation. So the school management is also responsible for coordinating support for the learner who experiences barriers of learning by completing the required documents or exams for accommodation and or exception, and this needs to be sent to the IEB with an example of the written work of the learner. So the school will be responsible for coordinating all the aspects relating to implementation of accommodation during exams. So a lot of times you will go to your educational psychologist and they will test your child and they'll say, oh, your child has ADHD or ADD or maybe dyslexia or some other form of learning barrier, and he is allowed a reader or a reader and a scribe. Obviously, when the IEB approves the accommodation for your child, it is actually a privilege for that child to be able to use the accommodation that's afforded to him. It's not a shame to have a reader or a scribe or a prompter. In actual fact, it allows that child to excel in subjects he wouldn't have if he didn't have that specific accommodation awarded to him. So a lot of parents feel embarrassed about their children having learning barriers. It's not all the time. It's not the children usually that feels that way. The children would like to be in a separate venue. The child would like to have someone to read the exam so that he can hear it. The child would like someone to scribe for him as his handwriting is very bad and takes him so long to write an exam. So saying all this, there are also rules for people that facilitate accommodation for kids. The one thing is, if you have a reader, that person needs to know the general guidelines that the IEB wants them to comply with. So you can't have a reader that didn't go through a short course or information piece or something to know what would be required of them. So let's say you get a reader, you're also not allowed to know that person. So it's not allowed at all that it is a person that's part of your family or friends or anything like that. You can't. This person should not be known by the family. Neither should the scribe, neither should the prompter. Nobody facilitating accommodation for a learner is allowed to be his tutor, family friends, or anything like that. So saying this, you can understand how many issues come in when parents decide to use people that actually hasn't been trained or do not know the general guidelines of what's expected from somebody that is going to do accommodation for their child. So the same with a scribe, the same with a prompter, the same with any facilitator. So firstly, with a scribe, it needs to be somebody that has good handwriting and can write at a good speed. Reader should be somebody that can read at that age that the paper needs to be read at. A prompter needs to be someone that also understands what is required of them. So you are not allowed, if you do accommodation for a child, to be on your phone, to read messages on your phone, to answer anything on your phone. That's actually not allowed. So a prompter is used when a learner is easily distracted, and the prompter only refocuses the learner's attention by using a verbal cue or a physical cue. A cue like in saying, are you still working, and maybe tapping them on the shoulder. A prompter are not allowed to communicate with the learner beyond using a verbal or a physical cue. A prompters also cannot keep time for the learner. And even though they're in a separate venue, the prompter is not allowed to walk around, charge their phones, do anything like that. They should sit next to the learner, and they should be watching the learner. If learner seems to be distracted, they need to just use a cue and say, are you still focusing on your work? Tap them on the shoulder. The same with a reader and scribe. You're not allowed to be on your phone at all. You should, when you have people doing accommodation, they should be professional and have integrity above all. I've heard horror stories where teachers would say, yeah, they got a prompter and this person was charging their phone, getting up and down, distracting the learner. This is not the way accommodation takes place. So please ensure when you choose somebody to do accommodation, when your child has received approval, that you use people who are trained, who know what they're supposed to do, that have done it before and are not family or friends of yours. If you have any more questions about where to get approval, where are the forms, how does it work, please leave a comment below, and or go to our website www.eduvision.co.za and have a look at everything that a person that facilitates accommodation needs to know and do. I hope this was enough information, and it was quite short, but if you need more information, contact us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.